Yo, peace and blessings. I was just in a barber shop just now. I'm just leaving after a long day, and I was thinking, what topic could I speak upon? And I want this channel to help others, in my position or not in my position, but whoever can take the information and deem it as useful. So I have a lot of homies who don't have credit, as I did. I was in that exact situation. I came home not 3 years ago with a zero credit score. I had no credit. I got locked up when I was young. I came out as a grown man. And I just want to go over some points of how I got my credit together. It's really two or three steps. I'm not gonna go into this saying that these are the three steps that'll get you good credit, but I'm going into this saying these are the steps that help me get good credit. So I say the first step would be to open a bank account. So when I came home after doing 12 years in the penitentiary, I only had a birth certificate at my mother's house. I didn't have a social security card. I didn't even remember my social security number, and um, I didn't have a social security card. Oh, and I didn't have a state ID. I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have state ID. And I came home on a Judy. And a little backstory of how the Ohio prison system works. I'm pretty sure it's different in every state, but when you get released, you're supposed to get a going home ID, which is as good as a state ID. It has a social security number. You can use it to get. I take that back. It is as good as state ID, and you can use it to get a legitimate state ID. Well, I came home on a Judy, which means I came home early. I got sentenced to 20 years. I did 12 on the 20, and I got released straight from court, and they didn't make me an ID. So it was a catch 22. I couldn't get a social security card without my ID. I couldn't get an ID without my social security card. So long story short, I had to go back to the prison, get my picture taken, and get an ID. So upon getting an ID, I opened a bank account. And this was the first step, getting my credit together. So I opened a bank account, and with that bank account, I got a secured loan, which means that they withhold my money to pay back a loan, which is the exact purpose of gaining credit for people with low credit scores or trying to build their credit. So I think it was a $500 secure loan I got, which means I gave them $500, and every month they just withdrew from that $500 to pay back the loan, which shows my credit, gives me a credit history and a credit response, and means I'm responsible with paying back debts or a loan. And that was the first thing, and the next thing was to get a credit card. The next thing I did was to get a credit card. So I had applied for credit cards when I came home. um I was denied, I think, a couple times. So I just thought that it wasn't I couldn't get one, like, oh, they won't give me one because I don't have any credit history. Well, I had a friend who was locked up with me, who was also out with me, and we were conversing. He said, get a Capital One card. So I applied for the Capital One card. They gave me a $300 credit limit. So with the $300 credit limit, I would spend it and pay it back. Spend it and pay it back. So they say pay it at the end of each month. Well, I would spend that credit limit, maybe 2 times a month, and pay it back. I was working and pay it back. So they eventually raised it to $1,000. No, they eventually raised it from 300 to 500, I believe, within like 3 to 6 months. And then a year or so after I initially got the card, I believe they raised it to 1,000, and now it's at a $4,000 credit limit, spending limit. So that was the next thing. And so that's what helped me. And now that I had legitimate credit history or whatever, without the legitimate credit history. I take that back. So the next step I did was to get a loan, a personal loan, which means it's a loan that I pay back every month out of my money, not a secure loan. So I just paid that back this last month, January 2021. My bad about that. So yeah, so that helped me. And then when I came home, I was staying with my mother, but I eventually got an apartment, and so that, I'm sure, it helped my credit too. So now I came home in 2019. The last time I checked my credit in 2021, I had a 750, and it would have been higher than that, actually, because in that time I applied for mortgage loans. I was shopping for mortgage loans to buy a house, and that's a whole different story. But I got the mortgage loan then, but they took it away. But in that process, I applied at different banks and creditors, and every time you apply for a loan, it's a ding on your credit history. It's an inquiry. So with all those inquiries, it lowered it slightly. And then once I became a barber full time, I didn't have a job, which was a steady paycheck. So my money was sporadic, and it still isn't all the way consistent. So I was living off of my credit card for a while. So I carried a slight balance on a credit card, and so I think that may have lowered a little bit. But from 0 to 750 in 2 years, 19, 20, 21, in 2 years, I believe that's pretty good. So once my lease is up on my apartment, that's the credit. So once my lease up is on this apartment, I'm looking for investment properties. But yeah, so long story short, get a bank account, 2, a secure loan, and 3, a credit card, and pay back your debts. Don't go delinquent on debts. Don't be late on payments, because all that is contrary to what you're trying to do. So with those 3 things, if you stay consistent, you will get a great credit score. At least I'm gonna say I'll get a great credit score. And if it worked for me, I don't know why it won't work for you, because I had 0 credit. I came home from prison. Now I got a 750, and I'm doing the damn thing, in my opinion, my humble opinion. And I know you can, if not better. So much peace and blessings to you. I pray you succeed. It's all progression, perseverance, you know what I'm saying, dedication, discipline, and we gonna get it. And much prosperity to you. Peace.